everybody. Today I want to speak a little bit about the Ascension process and the Awakening process in combination with communicating with ETs, extraterrestrials, or other dimensional beings, and religion. And the reason why I want to talk about the four of those together is because there seems to be this idea that the awakening process and the ascension process are about connecting with ETs. So while communicating with extraterrestrials and other dimensional beings is absolutely a part of the awakening process and a part of the ascension process, that's not what the awakening and the ascension are about. We're not going through the awakening and we're not going through the ascension process in order to be able to communicate with other beings that are not human. It is a part of it, of those two processes, because as we go through the awakening and the ascension, our frequencies, our vibrational frequencies inside of us, physically, mentally, and emotionally, start to rise, and we become more in tune with other dimensions and more capable of hearing voices and seeing things and getting thoughts or messages from beings that do not exist on this earth in our vibrational field. So religion fits into all of that because religion was put here for us as a guide tool. Because when we were very young in our spiritual development and our ability to discern things, religion kept us on track as a race of beings. And it did that by giving us rules and regulations to follow, just like a parent gives their children rules and regulations. One moment. So, as a parent, you tell your children, you give them a curfew, and you tell them that they can't have sweets. You give them guidelines that when they become teenagers, they push against, and they start to rebel because they don't want all those rules and regulations on them anymore. But you put those rules there so that they will stay safe and so that they'll grow up into responsible adults and help shape our world. And so that's what religion was put there for. It was put there with those rules and those regulations to help us as a young race of beings to become responsible adult beings. What I have told many of my clients is not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, meaning that whatever religion it is that you have your basis in, you don't need to throw that out. Certainly you don't need to keep it if you don't want to, but you don't need to throw it out in order to go through the awakening process or the ascension. You build upon it. You open up to allowing more information to come in, to be able to see things more clearly. Just like a child, when they're in grade school, they have just a little bit of knowledge, and then as they get older, they get more knowledge that is added onto that, and their perception begins to shift. It begins to change. They begin to understand things better and see things differently. That's what's going on with the human race. We are no longer children as a race of beings. We are now coming into our adulthood. And so a lot of people are feeling the restraints of religions. And that's fine. You push against those boundaries and you look for more to add to it. You don't necessarily have to throw it all away. So where the ETs are concerned, the biggest issue that I have with communicating with extraterrestrials is that I notice a lot of people thinking that that's the end all to this game, and it's not. It's not the end all. It is a part of this game. It's a part of our journey. It's a part of the process. What we are supposed to be doing is raising our vibrations and using our minds, what we have inside of our head, our brains, to understand things better, to become more responsible human beings, to build on our spiritual awareness and our ability to feel things and see things that are beyond this third dimension. But it's not to communicate with extraterrestrials. We're not going through all of this so that we can communicate with extraterrestrials. That is a part of the process. It's a part of our abilities. The reason that we're going through the awakening process is so that we can become smarter, so that we can become better equipped to deal with all of the changes that are currently taking place, that are going to continue to take place, and even with higher frequencies and more frequently. So we're going through that so that we can eventually reach our own godhood. We are tiny specks of the prime creator, of the source creator, but we are still the source creator. We are not the source creator, but we are tiny specks of the creator, which means that we have the ability to know things and to see things and to do things that we've only just begun to touch. So my whole reason for doing this video is because I want people to be aware that the ET communication phenomena that is really getting a lot of attention these days is a part of the awakening process and a part of the ascension process. It is not the reason why we are going through the awakening or the ascension. It is a part of it. It's a part of the journey. Because as we become more enlightened beings, those abilities to communicate with beings that are not human, those abilities become heightened. As you go through your awakening process, hopefully what you will see is that those communications should be helping you to learn discernment. Because not every race of extraterrestrials and not every non-dimensional or other dimensional being is here with the best intentions in mind for humanity. Some are hoping to sway us. And it's not a terrible thing, it just is. I mean, because even those beings are a part of the prime creator. Okay, so anyway, I hope that little bit helps. That I hope you don't get too caught up in the ETs and communication with them. Though it's not a terrible thing, it's just not the reason why we are going through the awakening process. We are going through the awakening and then through the ascension process so that we can move closer to our divine godhood, and that is within us. And the ETs and the other dimensional beings, they are on a journey just like human beings are. So I'm not sure if that's going to make a lot of sense, but I hope it helps. Blessings to everybody. I hope you have a wonderful week.